All right. Hello, everyone. We are group number 6, and today we're going to be doing a presentation over employee loyalty and whistleblowing. And I'm here joined today with Christian, Kelsey, Cade, and myself. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So for question number 1, which was, do employees have a duty of loyalty to their employers? Employees definitely have a duty to stay loyal to the employers/company, but only to a certain extent, which we'll get into later. When you're hired to work for a company, you're essentially representing that company and their values. You have a duty and obligation to represent them how they want to be represented, not how you think they should be represented. Not only is it ethical, but it's common sense, as you need to earn money to put food on the table. It would be unwise to do things exactly how you think they should be done, especially if you're just an employee. However, on the other hand, if an individual discovers that the company they work for is behaving unethically, then it is the moral duty of that individual to strive to address the unethical behavior. Company loyalty cannot be prioritized over this when something like this is happening. And so this kind of applies to the categorical imperative of Kant's ethical system, which is an unconditional moral law that applies to all rational beings and is independent of any personal motive or desire. With this in mind, it is therefore we could say that even if pressure exists in an organization to not report wrongdoing, a rational moral person with this ethical theory will withstand such pressure regardless of perceived retaliation, because it is a moral requirement to do so. So kind of like we said before, yes, you have a duty to stay loyal to your company and employers, but there are exceptions and there is a line, and if the line does get crossed, it's important to no longer be aligned with that loyalty. So for the next question, is it ever acceptable to blow the whistle on an organization? So whistleblowing brings two moral values into play. Number 1, fairness, and number 2, loyalty. Doing what is fair, such as promoting an employee based on talent alone, often conflicts with showing loyalty, such as promoting a long-standing but unskilled employee. From an ethical perspective, while loyalty is an ethical value, it should never be placed above one's ethical obligation to act responsibly and to be accountable for one's actions, including reporting wrongdoing in the best interests of the organization and its stakeholders. So kind of like we said before, yes, loyalty is important, but we're saying here that fairness should be a priority over loyalty, and there should be a good balance between the two. But like we said before, there is a line that's crossed, and whenever unethical behavior is happening, it's very important to put fairness first. So this can apply to the ethical theory of prima facie or prima facie. So this philosophy can be applied to the deontological theory of prima facie, which says an action that fits a declared relative higher priority is morally right. This means that if specific obligations conflict with each other, choose the greatest obligation. So like we said before, there was fairness and loyalty, and these are two conflicting obligations, and you must choose the one that had the highest priority, which in this case we chose fairness. So responsible people blow the whistle when they believe more harm than good will occur if the whistleblower stays silent. A virtuous whistleblower acts in an ethical manner if they truly believe a responsibility exists to protect the public interest. After all, 42% of corporate fraud is uncovered through means of whistleblowing. So in terms of whistleblowing, under what circumstances is it acceptable? So whistleblowing is only meant for reporting criminal offenses, regulatory breaches, health and safety, including the environment, breaches, or cover-ups. Anything else is out of scope. If you think it might be too late to report a concern, be assured that you can erase it at any time, whether it's about an incident that happened in the past, it's happening now, or you believe will happen in the future. However, your company's whistleblowing channels shouldn't be used as an outlet to air grievances or make false reports. If you have a complaint about your manager, another employee, your workload, or some other issue, you can raise it with your manager or HR instead, as those are covered under grievances procedures. Ultimately, personal grievances are not covered by whistleblowing law, unless the particular issue is of public interest in the matter.
What steps should one follow? When an employee decides to blow the whistle, they should follow a set of procedures that go through the internal channels first rather than external. One should first make their supervisors know about the problem and consult them before taking any drastic measures, such as whistleblowing. Going straight to the media or putting it online may undermine the message and damage your reputation. A situation where there is a threat to an individual's life, the environment, or another entity, an employee must come forward with their case.
Anyone can blow the whistle if they suspect wrongdoing or unethical behavior. And though it isn't easy, the law is designed to protect you from reprisal or unfair treatment. However, no matter how protected an individual's rights are, whistleblowing will always lead to social consequences. Here are some statistics to keep in mind that back this up. 33% of people who raised concerns at work were dismissed. 22% were victimized or faced disciplinary action by their employer. 37% of employees denied there was a problem. The employer resolved only 10% of the cases. Now, what responsibilities do organizational leaders have when an employee decides to blow the whistle? As an organizational leader, you must understand the damage leaked confidential information can do to the community and the company. Establish a plan of action. Are they going to defend their choice or send an apology? If you're apologizing, you have to show the public the company is ready to make a change. Firing some high executive staffs in charge of the whistleblowing activities is a good step in the right direction. From there, you need to establish statuses, company rules, and departments that prevent events like these in the future from happening again. This will show to the public that your apology was sincere and a good way to get back into good graces with your stockholders as well.
How can organizational leaders foster an ethical climate in which the need for whistleblowing will be minimal? If an organizational leader wants to foster a more ethical climate as well as to prevent whistleblowing, they need to have set policies and precedent to deal with such cases. Being that most claims are not brought forward due to fear of being singled out, oppression, or literal threats creates a need for anonymous channels of complaint and communication. In order to decrease the amount of whistleblowing to a minimal, dismal threat, organizational leaders must create a safe and ethical environment in which thoughts and opinions can be discussed in a professional manner with the said company's best interest as the forefront of those conversations. How can organizational leaders foster an ethical climate in which employees are encouraged to blow the whistle when necessary? The employees should be trained to recognize the difference between needs and requirements, as well as for them to be consistent with their understanding of their functions, loyalty, and their duty to society. If an employee is faced with a situation where there is a significant threat to the organization or members within the organization, then they should feel liable to report their finding. Moving on to the last part of how can organizational leaders foster an ethical climate in which employees who blow the whistle are protected. So, there are government regulations required to protect whistleblowers, as well as the fact that improper conduct can give rise to further scrutiny of the company's processes and functions. The Government Accountability Project lists 4 ways as to blow the whistle, which are as follows: reporting wrongdoing or a violation of the law to proper authorities, refusing to participate in workplace wrongdoing, testifying in a legal proceeding, and leaking evidence of wrongdoing to the media. So that is going to wrap up our presentation. Thank you guys very much for listening and participating. On this last slide, you will find our sources that have been cited. We just want to thank you all very much.